Continuing with the revision of Deep Water by William Douglas, this is the chapter in nutshell. William Douglas talks about his fear of water and thereafter how he finally overcame it. The autobiographical element in the lesson is used to support his discussion of fear. Now, author's aversion to water started when he was 3 or 4 years old, visited a beach in California with his father, stood with his father in the surf. The waves knocked him down and swept over him. He was buried in water, breath was gone, frightened. This was nothing new for father, he laughed. There was a terror in his heart at the overpowering force of the waves. At the YMCA, the author was sitting on the side of the pool. A big bruiser of a boy tossed him in the deep end of the pool. The author landed in a sitting position, swallowed water, and went at once to the bottom. The author was frightened, planned that he would jump and come to the surface, paddle to the edge of the pool, and then he describes in detail that what were the various experiences that he had when he was drowning. He was finally rescued, but this particular misadventure left some impact. The immediate effect was he was weak and trembling, shook and cried when he lay on his bed, couldn't eat that night. For days a haunting fear remained in his heart. The slightest exertion upset him and made him wobbly in the knees and sick in the stomach. He never went back to the pool. And now, what was the long-term effect of that particular misadventure? The fear remained in a river or pool. Legs would become paralyzed. Whenever he went near the water bodies, this thing happened. Icy horror would grab his heart. Deprived Douglas of enjoying water sport, ruined his fishing trips, deprived him of the joy. Whether he was in the canals on main lakes fishing for landlocked salmons, bass fishing in New Hampshire, trout fishing on Deschutes and Metolius in Oregon, fishing for salmon on the Columbia, at Bumping Lake in the Cascades, fear of water followed him everywhere. He could not get rid of it. Finally, he decided to. He tried all the methods, but then he could not overcome his fear, so finally he decided to hire an instructor. He started learning swimming, engaged an instructor to learn swimming. The instructor made him practice 5 days a week, an hour every day, put a belt around him, a rope attached to the belt went through a pulley that ran on an overhead cable. Instructor held on to the end of the rope. The author went back and forth several times each day. Took 3 months for the tension to slacken. Instructor taught him to put his face under water and exhale, to raise his nose and inhale, so that inhaling and exhaling exercise, then made him kick with his legs. Thus, piece by piece, the instructor trained Douglas and he finally learned how to swim. He could swim in the swimming pool, but that was some 7, 8 months that he was there. Now, the actual thing was that he had to find out whether he had conquered his fear or not. So, that was his next goal. Though the author had learned to swim, he still felt that the old fear would grip him again. Went to Lake Wentworth, swam 2 miles across the lake, swam the crawl, breaststroke, side stroke, and backstroke. The old sensation returned only once when he was in the middle of the lake, and when he put his face in the water, he could see just the bottomless water. But that sensation was in miniature, and author was confident enough to face it. But still he was not satisfied. So then he went up to the Titan to Conrad Meadows, up the Conrad Creek Trail to Mead Glacier, and camped by the warm lake. Swam across to the other shore and back. And this was the place, this was the time, this was the point when he actually felt that he had conquered his fear finally. Now it had a larger meaning from the author takes a larger meaning from this experience. In death there is peace. There is terror only in the fear of death, as Roosevelt said. All we have to fear is fear itself. Since the narrator had experienced both the sensation of dying and the terror that fear of it can produce, the will to live grew in him. So this was the whole chapter in nutshell.